Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Ushma Tyagi and I shall be your host today. We are back today with a special Cloud Edge Computing webinar brought to you by Dell Technologies, Microsoft, and Intel, and powered by Strategic Solutions. Today, we will engage with IT and digital leaders and solution experts from the world of IT and IT-enabled services for a better appreciation of how cloud edge computing will play a role in driving scale and agility across the value chain. With thousands of employees now working from home, leading to an unprecedented demand for IT resources such as cloud, VPNs, and video collaboration tools. In keeping with the theme of today's webinar, we will start with an analyst perspective into questions like why for IT, ITS leaders, whether they are making a bigger push for their digital offerings or improving employee work experience. Cloud edge computing is the way forward to a smart new world of real-time business innovation, deploying AI and predictive analytics and adopting enhanced security protocols. So now, without further ado, I hand you over to Mr. Shantanu Ganguly, Chief Executive Officer, Strategic Solutions, to share his insights with us. Over to you, Shantanu.
Hi, a very good morning, everyone. This is Shantanu Ganguly, CEO at Strategic, and this morning I welcome you all to this webinar. And my initial keynote or thought sharing is about the IT, ITES vertical specific opportunities that lie ahead of us in the year 2021. So I'll share a few points and thoughts about how I see IT/ITES organizations pan India leveraging technology, business opportunities, the market overall to translate and transform and then get back to the growth mode that they are best known for. So I start with a few learnings all of us have had over 2020, the disruption all businesses faced. So the most common learnings that I see we as business leaders have sort of gone through and absorbed and are trying to sort of move forward with are: number one, how do we navigate uncertainty, ambiguity and unpredictability in terms of demand, in terms of the larger economic factors, etc., and still find opportunities in spite of all the obstacles that we have faced or which we continue to face. The second learning is about embracing remote collaboration, and this cuts across all verticals of industry, all sizes of business organization, or even government, public, private, all entities, that how best can we accommodate, move into a remote collaboration based business model, and how uh, we sort of incorporate or embrace or integrate together technology, the human aspect of it, the cultural part of it, the etiquette parts of the collaboration, and everything unified to make sure that the productivity levels, the efficiency norms, and the business outcomes are as good, if not better, as compared to the previous physical mode of collaboration. The third key learning, which is compelling enough, is that businesses have, in the very hard way, realized that all of them have to change for the better, change for in favor of digital, and so business organizations are taking a complete relook at the digital native or digital first maturity of their organizations, and wherever they find gaps or wherever they see scope of improvement, every business organization realizes the compelling need for them to leverage technology to become more agile, more intelligent, more flexible, more composable, to make sure that they successfully uh, set up an environment which is best suited to navigate the unpredictability, uncertainty which may or will prevail for some more period of time. And last but not the least, when it comes to investments, spending money, while initial few months of the disruption forced all of us to sort of close our wallets or purse strings and then completely be super cautious about spending anything new or in on any new initiative, be it technology, be it business. I think over a period of time all of us have learned how to move forward, how to still find opportunities. So I see business and technology leaders cautiously are spending money, but of course they are prioritizing, they are repurposing and investing for what makes best sense in terms of short term returns, short term sort of roadmap and recovery to profitability to growth. And then once they stabilize that position, they will possibly think of mid-term to long-term investment horizons. So with this learning, as every business today aspires to go digital, there's one data point which is very, very positive and favorable for India, which is that more than 60% of Indian enterprises have ramped up their investment in hybrid cloud infrastructure, applications, agility, and this has come as a direct result of the pandemic disruption and the learnings around pandemic disruption that we all experience. Moving forward, we are all aware of the very strong global positioning and capabilities of Indian IT and IT enabled services industry. This includes business process management industry also. So overall, Indian IT and BPM organizations have set up over 1,000 global delivery centers in about 80 countries across the world. So that's a huge achievement and feat by itself. But if we look at a few more data points to understand, okay, how did IT/ITES industry fare or perform over this challenging year that we have just sort of put behind us? Uh, Year over year revenue growth stood at 7.7%, which is, I would say, very commendable if we take into account all the adversity and challenges we all faced as business organizations during the year 2020. 75% of global digital talent is present in India, which is again a huge sort of achievement or feather in India's cap. And this is what we need to capitalize better, monetize better on, both for boosting the digital native framework of India as well as overseas. More than half of the CEOs expect that their business growth, revenue growth will be similar or better as compared to the last year in 2021. So that's a lot of optimism and that's a lot of positivity, which is very, very encouraging. Last but not the least, in spite of all the oddities we faced, Indian IT sector added more than 200,000 jobs in the last financial year, and that still has a couple of months to finish. So that's up from 180,000 plus. So there is definitely a 10% odd increased hiring that we have seen in the Indian IT/ITES sector. So overall, very positive sentiments, very positive data points, and this will surely reflect in growth, in optimism, in better leverage of technology and business results for IT/ITES organizations based out of India, but who do business both in India as well as worldwide. My concluding thought and point is about what the concept of work from anywhere has taught us. And I think this has again brought forward a very sizable opportunity of uh, working from anywhere employees, technologists, data scientists, service experts, solution experts, uh, domain knowledge experts specific who specialize say in a specific vertical or application or a technology. So all of them developers. So all of them today have a better uh, sort of global acceptance of working from anywhere or working from home, because that's what the disruption forced all of us to gracefully embrace. And this work from anywhere phenomenon is something which Goldman Sachs predicts as a catalyst, and this will sort of catalyze overall third wave of IT outsourcing, as they call it. And this, combined with the business organization's need of rapid re-evaluation of their digital posture or maturity, rapid adoption of steps or execution of steps towards embracing agility, flexibility, intelligence, insights at the shortest possible time. So all that cannot happen with as much in-house expertise. One needs to rely on external experts, partners, allies, integrators, service providers. So this whole ecosystem is expected to collaborate more seamlessly, more effectively, and that should evolve or see, I would say, more technology, solution, application, and outcome oriented collaboration and outsourcing happening across globally. And because of India's overall leadership position on IT, ITAS, BPM space, which we saw on the previous slide, I think India is very well positioned and poised to capitalize on this outsourcing wave that's expected ahead of us. With this very positive optimism, insights, data points, I think I would conclude my initial talk today. There are a lot of interesting external CIO sessions, solution expert sessions, which are ahead of us in a short frame of time. So I would request all of you to stay tuned and gain knowledge, insights, experience collectively as we all listen to it in a short while from now. Thank you very much. Stay tuned for more. Good day.
Thank you, Mr. Ganguly, for engaging our delegates with absorbing insights on how they can think creatively to use IT and digital solutions to strengthen business outcomes. Dear delegates, do remember to fill out the feedback form at the end of today's webinar. Your feedback is invaluable as it helps us to improve the content, structure, and presentation of our webinars and virtual conferences. Ladies and gentlemen, our next session is a very interesting roundtable discussion with representatives from the IT solutions industry and the IT-enabled services sector. Representing these sectors will be an eminent panel of guest speakers in conversation with Mr. Ashwini Mishra, Business Technology Editor, Strategic Solutions, who will play the role of panel moderator. Over to you, Ashwini and guests.
Hello and welcome to this panel on unlocking value. I have been joined here by three senior technology leaders from IT/ITES companies to discuss how they are shaping their IT strategy that is forward-looking and one which will enable them to bounce back stronger in the long run. How are they looking beyond data centers to unlock value? And what are the key IT priorities for 2021? We will also try to get some insights around the uptake of edge computing, which has the ability to bring computation and storage closer to where data is collected, thereby enabling enterprises to improve data control, reduce costs, create far strategic insights, and sustain resiliency in their business operations. I take this opportunity to welcome Anil Nama, CIO, Control-S Data Centers and Cloud4C Services, Dr. Chandran R., fondly called as Chandy, CIO at Bhavan Cybertech, and Balaji Raghunathan, Associate Partner, Technology and Capability Head for Digital Experience at ITC Infotech. Thank you, Anil, Balaji, and Chandy for joining this conversation.
Thank you, Yashini.
Let's start with you, Anil. The current crisis disrupted business as usual, with prolonged impacts on business continuity, mode of working, and growth patterns. What were some of the key challenges that you faced, and how did you respond to the crisis with both short-term and long-term actions to make quick fixes and increase resilience to future disruptions?
Yeah, well, COVID took all of us by surprise, and we also had few of the surprises. Our major challenge came in the back office, the so-called supply chain and the back office that was there.
Right.
For example, the legal, the finance, HR part related to payrolls, variable calculations, and the whole back office used to sit in the office. And suddenly overnight they had to go home and then continue to work. So it was not only about the IT devices changing. So in fact, between Feb and March, we ended up purchasing close to 1,200 laptops for them.
Oh,
No longer there was a policy that there is a level in a laptop because everybody had to have camera, everybody had to had headsets. So
true.
I mean, all those policies went out. Everything was ad hoc budget. The important was how do you, I mean, onboard these type of applications very, very fast.
Speed was essential here, so
Yes,
yeah.
and that's where we saw advent of few SaaS applications for the back office, which act like, I mean, immediate border. So even though you have large applications in house, but everybody has got these utilities. I would say the culture of Excel and Word that doesn't go out. Now suddenly you couldn't allow that to happen in the home,
True.
and so you on quick onboarded these type of applications. You had to train them. There was all the headache of ransomware, phishing, no control on internet because directly from your mobile or your Wi-Fi at home it was coming in. So where do you keep the data? So then came our S3 or object-oriented storages. So we said, okay, fine, everybody has to have a directory, and now they're not IT savvy. So I hope you understand the mayhem of April and May. Beyond April and May, then things started to organize. In data centers, we couldn't do much because data center was declared as an essential place to work. Even though we wanted to shut off people from coming to data center, but I mean the largest banks like SBI and international banks, and of course the hyperscalers having set up with us, they couldn't function without it.
True.
So data centers were on. The way we did data centers was we divided the customer space and the internal space into two different parts, and we gave our people inside, and they had all cooks, everything inside. So one shift used to go in for a period of 6 weeks, 2 weeks quarantine, and like that we rotated till roughly October, November timeframe, and that's how we continued this period. The key learnings that have happened is number one is no longer your privileged identity or sysadmin needs to be on site.
Right.
Suddenly, all those customers who are very, very finicky about people logging in and coming from certain LAN, they were quite open so long as you could do identity and authorization and keep a track of what the people were doing. You're sort of lenient.
Right.
That shifted the whole managed services, except for the essential knock or call center or CRM, whatever you say, outside of the building, and people could operate in. The second change, which has happened long term for us, is a lot of process and their GRC has moved. It has moved into a very far maturity. So a
Right.
typical MIS report of any department would contain 20 to 30 pointers and all across. And now suddenly you are arriving at maximum 2 or 3 pointers per department. And that's the key. For example, if it is collections, the number of invoice outstanding, number of invoice collected. If it is billing, the number of orders unbilled, or number of orders
Offers which
which are due
pending.
for renewals,
Right.
right, pending. So like that, this whole experience is now changing out to be pointers, and that is making your processes very, very robust. It'll also making a lot of reinvestment you can think in terms of data sciences or your MIS, or now I would call it as AI and ML.
True. True. So a
The other
lot of things have reshaped, and they've come in a new form, if I may use that word.
far more user friendly.
User friendly. That's right. Yes.
Yeah. So earlier, if you think the MIS was a property of vice president and above, the dashboards today are the property
Right.
of a individual employee. Right? It helps him to work. He should
True.
understand it.
True.
So that's the key change. I mean, reports from a higher management coming down as an enabler for an each individual. That is leading to a lot of changes. And a simple example, let's talk about simple, I mean, maybe desktop management, maybe any operating system management, right? You have an Outlook, you have MS Office, you have a machine, and if it goes down, it impacts systems. Similarly, if it's a server like core banking, internet banking, it will affect multiple servers. Now, earlier there was a guy who used to do eye monitoring, and you had all people in the knock, and they used to sit around and measure outages and all. Suddenly, they have discovered you could put in a AI engine, something like Elk and all,
Right.
that does all the filtering. So, I mean, the time spent in trying to diagnose is like these days doctor saying you get an MRI scan or an X-ray scan, and based on that report, I'll give you the medicine.
Medicines. Very well put. So very well. We'll come back to you, and it's a very interesting analogies that you've shared. Chandy, how did you try to bring normalcy in your organization?
Basically, maintaining the current work and the current workforce motivated is the main challenge that we had. And within a period of 2 or 3 days, we had to do that because the customer should not feel that they are let down by this pandemic. And that is what we could achieve. But the downside of it is there were more employees leaving the company because this work from home has become a very good value for large companies. The opportunities that are there is increased productivity, effective usage of resources, whether it is the associates, that is the employees, or even the electricity and all that, as well as real estate. Number of real estate being used was because there are more upsides to it, and that has happened. And that is the thing which has happened. And since we are a product-based company, more product-based initiatives, predictive analysis, risk management, etc. Because banks need more of risk management things, and especially during this time, when even as Mr. Anil was saying that people down below also they had to give laptops. Security has become a major issue, so that is where risk management has to be done. And the long-term thing which I have to look at is thinking about more long-term plan of organization. I would look at ITIL 4, which is what it is, by which I can look at value streaming, uh, value chain, and making sure everyone understands these concepts. And that is what is mainly, that is training them and making them aware of things. That is what has happened. So value stream don't follow, and there is no linear method for value chain. I have to really teach the people what exactly, when I mean value chain, it can differ at different times, and those are things which we have looked at. And many of people, when you have meetings, they look at more of conference calls, etc. Whereas the customer expected visual media, and usage of visual media has become more important nowadays, and that is what it is. And everything, demo, all that, that is the main thing which has happened, and it has really helped. In fact, we feel even while coming back to work, 85% of the people, they don't want to come back. They have
Okay.
got used to it, and the companies are also feeling that they less expenses are there, and that is where, as you talk about edge computing and all that, which we will talk about later.
Sure.
So
Yes.
these are things which is a matter of pride which has to happen.
Right. Balaji, from an ITC Infotech's point of view, what kind of changes did you go through?
Yeah, one was, of course, first of all, convincing the customers that work can still get done, from home. So basically, this work from home will work. So that's the first aspect of it. So from a perspective of work from home, we were just looking at, how many customers want, kind of emergency service where people had to actually be in the office as part of the data security concerns. So especially a lot of the healthcare companies and some of the banks were not very keen on employees working from home. So we had to make a list of that, and basically segregate those customers who have privacy concerns and security concerns against those who are fine with working from home. So I think that was the first thing what we needed to do. And then of course, like I think we were fortunate in the sense that everybody had a laptop. So I think in terms of where people were working from, that was not at all a challenge from that. And even from a mobile app perspective, we were all pretty much enabled to access our systems. But I think our investment on security did go high because I think we had to actually look at multiple threat options. So that's the second change. Third is in terms of the sales force itself, it was a major change. You build relationships by getting in front of the customer. If you want to gauge how a demo went, you need to be in front of the customer.
True.
But
Yes.
this was actually very much new to both the customers and to us, where everybody were on a Teams call or or on any other Zoom call or something like that. And then even assessing whether the customer liked what they saw or they did not like. And I think even in terms of some of the consulting engagements which needed us to be face to face, we were able to actually learn to work from home. So I think we executed a complete consulting project end to end, interviewing so many senior stakeholders without any hiccup. And that too between a US and India kind of remote time zone, and it was done efficiently and on time. So I think the way what we saw is that employees are learning to work from home and getting work delivered. In fact, we have seen the productivity initially go up, but now we do see that there is a bit of saturation. I think people want that social connect. They
Yes.
want to come back, but not all of them want to come back. So we are not seeing any dip in the productivity. We did see the productivity go very high, and then it has been stable from there. So, but yeah, that lack of social connect does show in terms of how different teams collaborate with each other. Yeah, I think security. Then how do we make a sale? How do we build a relationship with the customer? And how do people work and collaborate remotely? I think these were some of the challenges which we thought was a big challenge, in
Big
fact,
challenge initially.
before COVID. But I think we have now sort of learned how to overcome this. So I think this is the biggest learning what we have.
Right. So, thanks for sharing those views, Balaji. So, one thing, is very clear that, it's beyond doubt that CIOs have increased their organizational credibility, during this crisis. And they were instrumental in dealing with the initial impact, bringing new solutions, especially enabling a newly dispersed workforce to work from home. Now, that change is now pretty much established. However, I believe there are some complex challenges that leaders like you must tackle to in order to sustain business growth and recover and look at the future. What would be the most critical amongst them? Anybody can take a lead there.
One of the things I think what we are facing as a challenge is, how do we onboard new employees? So, I mean, the onboarding process is not a problem, but that establishment of that social connect, how do we ensure that they feel part of our company, part of our group? That is, I think, probably one of the biggest challenges what we are saying. Of course, like we have all the mechanisms for, hiring remotely and even for people exiting the system. I know we have kind of processes which will enable them to leave the organization also remotely. But I think how do we get that human contact? Man is a social animal, right? So how do we get that human contact? I think that is one of the challenge, and to keep them engaged, that's a challenge.
No, that is one thing which we have although as you say, the physical social contact is not there. I have instituted a process of that daily the teams have to do at least an hour or something. They have to meet together and discuss the details. So these are things, and this has happened every day, and that is how they keep contact with the people and the teams. Like for example, I've got an internal automation team, the infrastructure team. They keep discussing things and come back on that, and that is one thing which has really helped them in motivating themselves to go further. And especially in a software company, yeah, as you rightly said, when the social contact is not there, the people have to be motivated so that the customer's final thing is customer does not suffer. And that is what we have looked at. and the conventional methods of communication have been outstripped. Now
True.
we
Yes.
have to look at rapid connectivity between greater number of locations. Different people are different places, and that is the rapid connectivity, and the bandwidths have to increase. These are things which is there, and that is how we have been looking at the increased quantities of data that has to be flowing at faster speeds. So these are things which is bringing us to the edge computing part of it, and that is what it is, which is most important, and which is what we are looking at. The major trends that has shift for many organizations to embrace edge computing and the rapid journey to increasingly hybrid cloud. It's not just either on premises or cloud. It is a combination of both which we have to look at, and that is what we are doing this. Like for example, our Oracle applications, the financial applications are in on premises, whereas the human resources are in HCM. These are
Okay.
things which we are doing. We are looking at Salesforce, which is in cloud. So everything we are distributed, and that is the thing. And the main thing that has happened is in this period, we did a complete O365 implementation in 20 days
Oh,
for
that's commendable. Yes.
1,500 people. That is one thing which is there, and it is all done remotely with the vendor. And everybody said it will take 3 months. In fact, Microsoft said it will take 4 months. We did it in 20 days. And that is
Right.
the thing which is there, because the way the people collaborate, the social contacts are not there, but still people are increasingly saying that I have to get involved and do that, and that has been done.
Sure, the engagement model and bringing people and keeping them together is very essential. Anil,
Yes.
any different views or something else that you want to share?
Well, so Balaji was about people joining. For me, since I mean we build our own data center, 4C is our own product line, right? These are all innovations that have come in because the employees got together
Right.
and they want it to be a better place for their customer or for themselves. I mean, whichever way you want to take it. I feel that long-term innovation, which was happening in larger groups,
Right.
is now going to suffer. So people like us, the strategic challenge in this new world of 50-50, 80-20 people working from home and people working from office is as rightly pointed out, because in large groups, when you have the brainstorming, when you want to create a value proposition, it's much easier when you can see the
See
person
people.
across,
True.
right?
That's a
And
very strong point that you're making, Anil. And I think these views are echoed in some forms, though people are not quite vocal about it. But this is the reality today.
yes, we have to find some way. I mean, within this collaboration, maybe a happiness room in Teams or Zoom. I don't know where, but if this is long term, then that has to come in. I mean, what you call it as inform. Most of the innovation comes from the informal organization, a
Right.
water cooler organization. Let me put it like that. Can we replicate it, or can we bring the people to have the comfort to converse, or I mean, ideate in the same manner? That for us has been a question. That is, we don't have any ready-made answers, but that for me is the critical thing to crack in long term.
Right, so guiding both the business strategy and also ensuring that the employees have that culture and expertise to support innovation for the long term. So very well put, Anil. So I'll take this as a very key point in this discussion. What kind of IT or digital initiatives would you be looking at? And Chandy did mention about edge computing, and considering that the workforce is now more distributed than ever, there has been a significant shift in network traffic as well. What is your take on the current trajectory of edge computing?
And one is pure business from control S. So let's see. People from TCS, people from every place went to the mostly so-called far north or far east states. You have a lot of traffic in UP, you have increased traffic in Bihar, a lot of traffic in West Bengal. Orissa has increased tremendously. Madhya Maharashtra has increased. So all these urbanization has sort of de-urbanized.
Right.
Now, the opportunity that we are looking there is to set up edge data centers, because we are looking both ways. One is their families consume the content, the so-called Netflix, the OTT players,
Right.
and these end of the day their flows can be hacked. So they want to be as close as possible to the subscriber.
Subscribers. True.
So they want to multicast from closest point, maybe at the head of the local ISP or at the head of a circle in a telco. So that's one way to look at it, the content being consumed by them. The second way to look at it is the content which is generated by them.
Right.
Right now, I mean, tollways have started. People are slowly moving to sensor based cars. You have now got what COVID app that can check everything for you. You have online UPIs. I mean, a lot of sensors are moving towards that IoT thing. Now, as it moves, all these centers will also generate data, and these will be latency sensitive data, whether it is healthcare, whether it is finding out whether you have a balance in tollway or not, I mean, financial balances, or whether it is trying to get a stream out, I mean, future driverless car, is there some possibility malfunction, etc., etc. So the edge data collection is going to become time
Right.
sensitive.
True.
So plotting both together, our strategy in controllers is to just double the capacity in the campuses. However, end up with 25 to 40 key locations of data convergence with our edge. And on that also, we have already applied for NLD licenses now. So we are going to take up the, I mean, the path of it. Of course, we are not the application guys of Netflix or the collectors like a Bajaj or some other thing, but it'll provide the highway on which these people can then ride. So that's our strategy for next 3 to 5 years.
And are you also looking at edge computing for your workforce in any form, Anil? So, no, so this
Yeah,
is
see, I am a subscriber of Azure, also a
okay.
provider of Azure, so I'm an expert MSP also. I'm a subscriber of AWS. I'm a provider of AWS. I mean, these guys are also, for example, AWS come out with AWS Outpost.
Right.
The problem with AWS was only in Mumbai region. They didn't have a DR.
Right.
Sort of our site says that no five nines, we want a DC and DR. So we ended up putting AWS Outpost with them. Similarly, Azure has come up with their own edge setup, right? So I'm a subscriber. The major change that I have done in my COVID period is to break monolithic applications into
Into
functional
fine.
applications,
Right.
whichever is nearest to my set of users, whichever gives me least latency, whichever gives them best user experience. I mean, we have seen those, we have now practiced BCP. So we moved from Salesforce to Zoho, Zoho to back.
Okay.
I mean, it's all done. It's no longer that planning a Oracle migration kind of thing.
Right.
We
Right.
have
Right.
also tried out in reimbursements. We have tried out in payroll systems. So these SaaS applications are pre-compatible,
Right.
or the one guy knows what to do with the other guy. Let me put it like that. So,
Right.
so
Seamless
instead
intercom.
of BCP within the application, you now have a BCP of a function. It all depends on what is available at my nearest edge to which I can tap.
Right. Balaji, from again from an ITC Infotech's perspective, how are you looking at edge computing internally as well as for your customers?
Yeah. So I think from an ITC Infotech perspective, we are largely service oriented. So first, what we look at is most of our requirements actually come from what our customers want to do. And we being quite strong in the manufacturing and the consumer processing goods space, we are looking at a lot of digital manufacturing, connected factories kind of use cases
Right.
where edge computing is going to be more and more
Prominent. Yes.
visible.
Right.
So yeah. So again, if we look at the trends in the factories perspective, given that it's going to be more and more, I won't say totally contactless digital, but maybe less contact digital, right? That's what the world is moving towards post-COVID. Uh, so hopefully it's going to be post-COVID. So with all this
Yes.
vaccination, but yeah. So what we are seeing is like initially as part of the connected factories, most of the customers were only looking at centralizing a lot of factory operations. But then it all has now gone into edge computing in terms of what data should be moved outside and what data need not be moved. So basically, it has moved into a edge gateway kind of concept. So it is more edge computing. Now, what we are seeing is more and more customers, as part of digital manufacturing, they are moving towards edge intelligence. So that means that you're not only looking at just deciding what data should go to the cloud and what data should remain inside, but you're looking at distributed intelligence. So if some data makes sense to be analyzed on the run, right? So that's being piloted now. A lot of people are exploring how to do edge intelligence and have that kind of distributed intelligence capabilities. Some of the intelligence can be on premise. They may probably want to take some action immediately, while some of them can wait from a reporting purpose. They can actually go on to public cloud and then merge with some other data, and then we can enrich that data and give insights. So I think the way we are looking at it is from a kind of connected factory, which was largely about an on-premise, or should I say just centralized mechanism, to an edge gateway kind of public cloud adoption, to an edge intelligence. That is the biggest trend we are seeing from an edge computing perspective. Yeah, internally, again, like what I mentioned, our capabilities are decided based on how we see our customers want digital technology. So that way, we are looking at it more in terms of digital skilling, and of course, like even as part of all this edge computing, one of the outcomes is going to be data literacy, just like what Anil was talking about, right? Like everybody needs access to data so that they can act on it real time. There is no point in keeping data and insights only to some top level leaders.
Yes.
So everybody, if they are authorized to take a decision, that's going to be more and more beneficial. So the way I look at the way humans have even evolved, and what digital is also sort of multiplying, that is they're getting more and more impatient, which means that they want things immediately. This is exactly the same thing which is going to happen even with analytics and edge, right? So you're actually going to look at what is the immediate data I want, what is the immediate decision I can take, and can I take an immediate decision? So this is what is the concept of edge intelligence. And so yeah, just to repeat again, I think we are moving from a connected factory, just from a centralization and optimization perspective, to a kind of edge gateway, to an edge intelligence kind of theme. So that's been probably the one of the biggest impact of COVID.
Chandy.
Yeah, we being a service-oriented company as well as a product-oriented company, creation of data is more important. And as Anil has mentioned, data has to be protected, and that is the main thing which is there. So we are looking at firewall protection with the latest firewall which is there. And of course, edge computing has become a major thing for all the clients, and they want us to be very much on top of things. So literacy of the people, the data literacy of the associates or employees is very important, and that is what we are looking at. And at this time, yes, we are not provided laptops to everybody. There are some people who are using only desktops. So what we have done is the virtual desktops, VDI. And since we are using AWS and Azure for the last more than 2-3 years, during the pandemic period with edge computing coming in, AWS and Azure has really helped us in doing things. And that is what we are looking at.
And you do use edge computing as for your attendance system, I believe. Some.
Yes, we do that. Yes, we do that so that it's attendance recording, and it's all uh, completely in the cloud through the edge computing, and that is what it is. The attendance system is completely online, and every time I can track my attendance, whatever that is there, what time I entered and what time it is there, and it is very, very useful. And it's integrated. That is what is most important. We have integrated to Oracle, we have integrated to payroll. All these things have happened, and that is all. One thing is very good about this pandemic period is the improvements in integration and security, etc., has become really good. That's what it is.
Right, right. So quite a few learnings that each one of you shared. I guess we are nearing the cutoff time quickly. In terms of what would be some of your key IT priorities for 2021. Any key areas that you're looking at quickly, and then we'll wind up.
For me, it would be identity and access management overall, because employees are now become a customer to my IT setup.
Right.
That is one of the priorities 2021. A rollout of edge data centers, at least at 5 locations in the current year, so that we are able to provide some content. Um, that's the second priority for us. The third priority is even within the AWS and the Azure reference architecture, to upgrade the security reference architecture for the same purposes of our customers. So those are the three key priorities identified for this year.
Right.
Uh, our priorities are first is getting into RPA, uh, uh, robotic process automation, and then of course security is a major aspect, which is what we have to look at. Uh, so these are the two main aspects which are there, because most of the other things we have taken care of.
Balaji?
Yeah, what we are looking at is, building more intelligent platforms. So that would actually have a mix of, modern data on the cloud, plus a mix of edge computing, and plus a lot of AI and ML, all of these coming together to provide that real-time insights. So that is the first part. And second part, of course, is like, how do we enable our customers to be more data driven organizations, and we would also be more and more data driven. So I think these are the three areas where we are actually focusing on.
Right, right. Thank you all for sharing your views. I'll quickly summarize. Some of the key priorities for the IT/ITES sector again is to drive business growth through collaboration, improve workforce customer experience, create intelligence, and ensure data safety measures. Speaking specifically of scale and agility, I guess these are two attributes that have become stronger. Considering thousands of employees are now working from home. There is also an unprecedented demand for IT resources such as cloud and video collaboration tools. As companies re-evaluate their long-term business needs based on their experience of tackling the current crisis, now edge computing is definitely coming to the forefront. Thank you all for your time and thoughtful answers. I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everybody. Bye
Thank
bye.
you. Bye.
Thank you, panelists and Ashwini. Excellent takeaways for IT and digital transformation leaders from that discussion, I must say. It was a revelation how edge computing is now coming to the forefront as a necessary pillar of modern IT infrastructure, and why cloud edge computing will be the way forward for organizations to sustain distributed workforces and effectively leverage the growing universe of devices at the edge of their networks. Dear delegates, do remember to fill out the feedback form at the end of today's webinar. Your feedback is invaluable as it helps us improve the content, structure, and presentation of our webinars and virtual conferences. In keeping with the theme of today's webinar, in our next session, Mr. Ashwini Mishra, Business Technology Editor, Strategic Solutions, will be engaging a fireside chat with Mr. Xavier Kurian, Director, Solutions and Alliances at Dell Technologies India. In this chat, Mr. Ashwini Mishra will engage Mr. Kurian in a discussion on how Dell Technologies is helping IT/ITES organizations leverage cloud edge computing through its ability to bring computation and storage closer to where data is collected, that allows enhanced data control, helps reduce costs, delivers faster strategic insights, and drives sustainable business operations.
Hello and welcome to this fireside chat on unlocking innovation. I have the pleasure and opportunity to host Xavier Kurian, Director, Solutions and Alliances at Dell Technologies India, to discuss and understand how Dell Technologies is helping IT/ITES enterprises to create scale, agility, and resilience, and how edge computing led business innovation can assist the sector in numerous ways, right from data collection and business intelligence to security, network efficiencies, and remote working, to name a few. Welcome, Xavier, to this conversation.
Thank you, Ashwini. Good to be here.
Speaking specifically of the CIO's role in the current scenario, Xavier, we've seen that they are more than technology experts. They are seen as cross-functional change makers, guiding business strategy at the highest level, and at the same time creating a culture of digital expertise to support innovation. Couple this with the current crisis, where CIOs have increased their organizational credibility. They have been instrumental in supporting a digitally dispersed workforce and moving towards accelerating the digital transformation efforts within the enterprise. Having said this, how have you been working alongside your customers to support this innovation slash digital transformation in the new normal, and at the same time understanding the real world problems or challenges?
So, Ashwini, the CIO's role has always been at least for the last decade, has been a fairly pivotal role in many organizations, right? From the time of just keeping the lights alive and managing some applications within an organization. Very often today, what we're seeing is that the role of the CIO becomes fairly critical because the dependency of the business on IT is fairly high.
True.
Now, as you go down that stream, with the current pandemic situation and more companies working from home, the change of how businesses do business, or rather how they reach out to their customers, how they reach out to their end users, has changed quite significantly. While that change was happening, how CIOs have to deal with employees has also changed, right? So
Right.
if you look at in the legacy world, 60 to 80% of the workforce work from inside an office, and maybe 20%, 10 to 20% worked remote. Today, it's almost 100% remote.
True,
And that
true.
change by itself has resulted in significant changes to how applications are delivered, how services are delivered to employees.
And this change is going to stay, Xavier. So it's,
This
at least
change for the foreseeable future is what
right.
is what we say. Now, as this change was happening, we were working with a lot of our customers to enable some of these functions. How do you enable large scale remote connectivity? How do you deliver applications to the remote desktop client of users? How do you enable the same level of efficiency that you were getting inside an office remote as well? Now, obviously, you use tools like Zoom or Teams or any one of those tools to communicate.
Right.
But at the same time, you need email to become more proactive. You need collaboration tools. You need file shares where multiple people can access information. The method of delivery of information between employees has changed quite
Changed.
significantly.
True, true.
And a lot of that was enabled by IT services, right? Going back to the point of how to reach out to customers, that as well changed quite significantly. So all the data that people had collected over the last 5 years on customer behavior patterns, for example, in retail, what kind of stock needs to be held in what locations. A lot of those standards which were established with data over time suddenly became irrelevant because
Right, right, right.
the method to go reach the customer changed quite significantly. They needed to go adapt. They needed to go look at new methods to go connect to customers, new methods to run publicity, and a lot of those systems that are required to do this were enabled by IT. And logistics changed, stocking systems changed. How you look at the data and how much weight you give to more recent data became fairly critical. the data scientist became the best friend of the CIO.
Right,
Um,
right.
so we've been through what, about a year of that change now, right? And most organizations are starting to adapt to those changes. We've been with many of those companies delivering and revising their analytic frameworks, revising how they collect data, what kind of data they put weights on. That's for customer facing. On the employee facing, we've been working on solutions like VDI for virtual desktop delivery, application delivery using microservices and delivering those microservices through a VDI instance. We've been working with a lot of those new technologies to enable some of these this both employees and customers remote scenario. So it's been an interesting time, and the CIO has been a fairly critical role and a good friend in most organizations.
True, very well said, Xavier. So one, while they are reshaping their IT strategies and also ensuring that these new solutions are user friendly, that's very critical because again, considering the dispersed nature of the workforce. So
Right.
while these companies reevaluate their long term business needs, uh,
Mhm.
one based on their experience of tackling the current crisis, how do you envision the role of cloud edge computing? Do you see it as an essential pillar in the IT infrastructure? And how are you helping these organizations leverage edge computing, and its associated abilities to provide a consistent operating paradigm across diverse infrastructures?
Excellent question. So, Ashwini, the fact remains that the method of delivery of services, both to employees and to end customers, is in the process of change, right?
Right.
5 years ago, if you told me that getting everybody to connect to a data center was not practical, I would have said, "Hey, it's a few bits of data. How is it going to make a difference?"
True. True.
As time has progressed, and particularly in the last year, the amount of data that you want to collect, the amount of data that you want to process has gone multifold, right? If you've got a
Precisely. Yes.
if you've got a remote user sitting at home working on a desktop, not connected to the VPN, you still want to be able to secure his environment. You still want to be able to know if something goes wrong on that. In your supply chain, you want to get a lot more granular with the kind of data you collect. So the quantum of data has gone up multifold. Now, as that quantum of data went up, you're going to have to decide now how much you want to backhaul to your data center,
Right.
which is where the edge compute comes into the picture. The ability to go collect a larger set of data, go analyze some of that data at the edge, or decide at the edge what you need to bring back to your data center, becomes fairly critical. Otherwise, bandwidth does not allow getting everything back to your single or two data centers somewhere in the country.
Issues of latency in that scenario.
There's three factors. One is obviously bandwidth. The second is latency, and the third, most importantly, is time to respond.
Right. Right.
Right. The more data you get, the more time it's going to take for you to respond. And if you can go break up this decision making to 50 different sites spread across the country, you can break that time taken to analyze that specific response and become a lot faster. Latency in terms of how much how consistent is that data.
Mhm.
If site A sends you the data and it reaches 10 seconds late, in some scenarios that makes a difference to a
True.
decision making tree. And most importantly, how much bandwidth? There's only so much bandwidth that's available in the country. If you want to backhaul photographs, for example, or video streams from 50 of your warehouses back to your data center, your bandwidth requirement can be yeah, quite a bit.
Yeah, true.
Um, to prevent that from happening is where the architecture of edge computing is coming from. Now, Edge computing is not new, right? We've had CDN
Right.
networks and a kind of edge in the terms of CDN networks for web content delivery for some time, right? The ability to use that kind of a distributed network to both deliver services as well as collect data is what the concept of edge is, and it is clearly becoming the defining change that's coming into the market as we go forward.
Will it be right to say that data collection, storage, and computation at the edge can solve challenges and at the same time create new opportunities for IT/ITES companies, Xavier?
Absolutely. And more important is the second piece of what you said, creating new opportunities. The where we are today, and coming back to the first point that I was the earlier question that I was making, the rate of change and the delta change from an old
It's multifold, right?
model multifold. Everything has changed.
Right.
So to be able to adapt to that, you need the data. You need it to be as real time as possible. You need it to be reliable, and you need to be and it's not practical to go backhaul all of that. So you are going to have to decide what is it that you collect as much as possible, and decide then what you want, how you want to go analyze it, and make a decision at as close to the collection point as
Collection.
possible.
And do you see all faster networking technologies like 5G, for example? Will 5G enable edge computing systems to accelerate the creation? You spoke about real time value of data, and real time applications such as video processing, analytics, use of artificial intelligence, and the likes. Will it really make an impact?
So 5G is going to change the world over there. You're going to get a lot more bandwidth, and it's going to be available to a lot more endpoints, right? You're not going to have to wire in every endpoint, for example, right? You're going to be able to put a SIM card and put a camera somewhere remote and still get the data as real time as possible. Or, for example, in the automobile industry, you can collect data from a car fairly real time. Self-driving cars are going to be dependent on technologies like 5G. That said, while 5G is going to provide that incremental jump, it is not the only definer. Technology is available today, starting from 4G to fiber networking and internet, and how internet is distributed in the country today is already making a lot of that connectivity possible. And 5G is just going to provide that that incremental jump when it is available in the country.
Any final thoughts, Xavier, in terms of what kind of innovation or new capabilities can enterprises expect from Dell? One to accelerate value and at the same time create resilience as they move forward.
Right. So we've been in terms of edge and edge delivery, we've been innovating in three aspects. The first is where you want to go put this edge. Now, very often, most of this type of equipment has been designed for a data center, and we don't expect customers to build 50 data centers across the country. It's sometimes not practical. So we've started building equipment that can survive till 55 degrees centigrade, the hottest it possibly gets in at least most of our major cities. We've been building equipment that can take the shock and the pollution levels that sometimes exist in some parts of the country. So innovation in terms of being able to put the equipment in the place you want to, rather than fit it into a data center and then have to backhaul, right? So that's one aspect we've been working towards. The second aspect we've been working towards is the ability to go and customize this to what's needed. And I'll give you an example. The protocols and the formats of data that you'd want to collect are quite a bit. If I started writing that out on a sheet, I'd go at least 5 pages long, right?
Right.
Which means that you need to be able to support open standards. You need to be able to support all the standards that are out there, and go and customize it to the needs of that individual customer, right? We've been working with a lot of our alliance partners and a lot of our core delivery service partners to go enable a lot of those ecosystem formats and support it on our infrastructure. And the third, I think, is the most critical portion of it, is to be able to support it wherever it is, right? It's not enough to just go deploy it. Deployment, I was having a conversation with one of the CIOs, and he made a very pertinent point saying that the deployment is 10% of the journey. You've still got you've still got 5 years to go.
Right.
So to be able to support it, to be able to develop on it, to be able to improve and deliver the extra services that are required on that same platform across the next 5 years is also going to be critical. And that's where a partnership like Dell and we can bring in a lot of those ecosystem alliances that we've already formed for specific vertical industries, for manufacturing, for telecommunications, for retail, for logistics, etc., to be able to deliver the services that are required for them. So that's where I think the real innovation comes from, to be able to look at the entire ecosystem. And put everything together for a customer.
I'm sure that would be a key enabler in this whole, because the ecosystem then works towards achieving that kind of a scenario. What kind of strategy or what kind of framework or do these enterprises need to look in case they're evaluating edge computing systems, Xavier?
See, before anything else, what I tell enterprises and even the smaller companies alike is make the decision to go forward in this, because you are going to have to go and see where the low-hanging fruit in your specific industry, in your specific environment is, and start making those investments today. Because if you don't make those investments today, there's a very good likelihood that you'll be left behind a year and a half from now.
Right. I guess in the interest of time, we'll have to end this discussion, Xavier. Thank you for your insights and views on how Dell Technologies is helping IT/ITES organizations to increase scale, agility, and resilience, and also highlighting the role of edge computing to create a new smart world of real-time business changes with enabled predictive analytics and enhanced security. It was indeed a pleasure having this conversation with you.
Thank you, Ashwini, and it was really nice being here.
That was a truly insightful deep dive. That's all we have for you. We hope you enjoyed this specially curated webinar focused on cloud edge computing solutions for the IT-enabled services sector that we brought you today. On behalf of Dell Technologies, Microsoft, Intel, and Strategic Solutions, I thank you for attending, and our panelists and expert speakers for enriching us with their experiences and insights. We look forward to you joining us for our next webinar series. Take care, stay safe, and make cloud edge computing help your organization's services scale new heights. This is Ushma Tyagi signing off on behalf of Strategic Solutions.